All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back with a live discussion of Justice League. It's going to be live discussion of Justice League number 4, all things Justice League this time. Anything new surrounding it, the movie, whatever. We can go through that. Check out my Easter eggs that people haven't been covering with Justice League. I was just on a ramble the last time. Plus, I'm fueled by your questions as well. Um, and let's talk about this movie. So, first things first. Let's look at his box office. So the projected estimates for Justice League box office for this weekend is $171,546,643 domestically, and internationally or worldwide $481,346,643. The weekend box office has a decline, an estimated decline of 56.6%. So it goes from 93 million or almost 94 million to 40 million or almost 41 million. Okay. Now, while that's a respectable decline, we really wanted it to decline even less than that. That's still a big drop in the United States of America. A lot of people came out to see this movie, but still, it's not enough. You know what I mean? So it's still following a trajectory. We haven't been able to make it bend or change its trajectory when it really counts, because it makes the bulk of its money early on. It just has to have some really good legs as well. So we'll see how that turns out with this movie, but I just wanted to talk some of the box office with you guys. I picked up a couple of things in the movie the last time I went and saw it. Some of the things I noticed, I think I talked about with you guys last night, but I didn't realize that Superman himself was considered a monster, and they actually mentioned that in the movie, which I thought was very interesting. I'm going to be putting out some more Easter eggs. The first one, part one of the Easter eggs that other social media sites and other main websites are not covering, I will cover that. You can always find all the other stuff with the main social media sites. So you can go ahead and check out that video. You can also talk in the chat section right across here. You can come and comment in the chat section. Whoops, I pointed in the wrong direction. The chat section is over here, right? Pointing the chat section over here, I think. No, wait. No, I was pointing the right way. Chat section is over here. It happens. The chat section is actually over here. All right. So you can always join the chat section. I'll be here for maybe I'll take an hour, maybe I'll take less than an hour. But I'm a little bit sleepy because I didn't get much sleep last night, and I got to get more sleep today. But I'm willing to talk with you guys about Justice League some more. And if you're burning and you want to share stuff on Twitter, I'm sharing my stuff now on Twitter, my new videos and stuff. You can go up. I also like to have your Twitter contacts so we can share stuff among each other together and help out each other in making this happen, because we are going to fight for this movie to make sure this movie makes it at the box office. And let's talk some other positive things about Justice League. There's so much to talk about. Now, I did cover a host of topics concerning Justice League. I kind of just blandly talked about them, and I'll be doing videos which will give you that really great imagery of Justice League, right? But I wanted to talk a little bit about monsters for a bit, because I know I talked about monsters the last time in the last video. But do you know that Superman was a monster in this movie? For a moment in time, he actually was confused. He was a monster. And that's the callback to Pet Sematary, of course, but they actually mentioned him as being a monster, as coming back as a monster, literally, verbatim, which I thought was very interesting for this movie. And considering that, it lumps Superman in the monsters category, even if it's for a brief portion of time. It lumps Superman in the monsters category, which means Superman was not just a god. He was not just referred to by Lex Luthor as a devil or flying demon. He was also not only considered human by Bruce Wayne, but now he's also considered in the same breath a monster. Now, why that's interesting is because Superman seems to be becoming all things to all people. And that's important because, of course, at the beginning of the movie, this whole movie is all about hope. It's all about Superman. And Superman is becoming, or at least being defined by different sects of people by all of these traits that I mentioned: monsters, gods, men, devils. All of the other characters in these movies have not had all those different attributes. Isn't that interesting? And I thought, when you do things that seem counterintuitive to the average person, they're going to label you names. And in this case, Superman was labeled just about every single name except a guy trying to do the right thing, a hopeful guy. And that's what really inspired a lot of people, was his hopefulness, which he sets, the tone of the movie is set by Superman from the beginning of the movie, which is really awesome. So the other thing is, well, I gave you that what Superman was doing was a whole big Easter egg. That conversation he was having with the little children, it's a huge Easter egg there. And I think there's even more to that Easter egg, but I have to look into it a little bit more, in that to see the conversation Superman usually has with kids in the comics, and find out if, and even in the movies, to find out if this is a callback to one of those conversations. So that's also loaded right there. But when we go back to the subject of monsters, monsters are generally, they're considered a threat. They're considered dangerous. But we all know, if you guys grew up watching Sesame Street, or if you grew up, even, I think some of you are going to go watch this movie that's coming out with the huge bull that's supposed to be, aggressive and so on. But he's a huge monster. He's a huge beast. But he's not that way. His character, his personality, is not to be aggressive and a big beast. So we can have monsters that are actually good monsters. They're kind and everything, but they just happen to be monsters. And I call back to the 1987 Beauty and the Beast. So it was just interesting that they haven't explored everything in this concept of monsters yet. And it's interesting that they lump also humans into the category of monster. For instance, when Cyborg speaks about himself, and he says, you don't want to reveal the monsters. Well, it's not speaking about himself. It's talking to his father. He says, you don't want to reveal the monster to the people at Star Labs. His father thinks, he says to Cyborg, you're not a monster. And then Cyborg turns around and says, I wasn't speaking. Why do you think I was speaking about? You thought it was me. It was really his father. And we've seen humans being monsters. We see Lex Luthor being a monster. We've seen Batman being a monster. We've seen, that's Bruce Wayne, that is. We've seen also now Cyborg's father being considered a monster. So I just think this theme of monsters, of course, it started in Man of Steel with General Zod, was a monster through and through. It wasn't, again, he was a Kryptonian, he looked like a human, but he was a monster in the sense of his mindset to destroy. But monsters are not necessarily always bad. And so it'd be interesting if Zach will go a step further and use the term monster in a different light. Now, as for the multiple meanings in the script writing of this movie, I've gotten a copy so I can actually look over and over again at this movie, because I like to look at depth in things and important things we can apply in our lives. Joanne Lewis says, oh, by the way, shout out to you, Joanne Lewis. Shout out to you, Oli JL. Hey, brother. Here's to looking at you. I hope everything's good in New York. Now, Joanne Lewis says, he inspires them to be hopeful because kids are swayed and he knows they are the future. Yes, in terms of his discussion with the children. Yes. They were making a little podcast and they wanted to interview Superman. So I thought it was nice. And there was a nice touch when Wonder Woman was also talking to the little children as well. And she was conversing with them as how Superman was doing in the beginning of this movie, which I thought was pretty awesome. Hey, Jamie Norwood, Betty White. How are you doing today, doofus? I'm good, man. I'm not a doofus, but I'm good. Hey, man, seeing Justice League again very soon. Yes, me too. I'll be seeing it again. I really enjoy watching this movie. Last night I was watching it, and a lady was next to me, and I was telling her to stay for the post-credit scenes, and she was like, "How many times you saw this movie?" I said, "I saw it 5 times." She was like, "I said I really like this movie," you know. So it was kind of cool. But yes, talking about monsters. Monsters. We're gonna stay on that theme of monsters until you guys start asking some questions. But yeah, Superman was a monster in this movie, even if it wasn't for a very extended period of time. He was a monster in this movie. Um, yeah. When we talk about monsters and the concept of monsters, I don't know if people grasp this, but in the scene, well, it wasn't really highlighted, but in the scene where Zeus and Ares, the god of war, and Athena, I believe, the god of strategy and war, were engaging Steppenwolf along with the humans and the Green Lanterns. We noticed that the monster in this movie, which monster in Wonder Woman movie, which was Ares, was working alongside Zeus and Athena and all the other uh, legends or heroes of that time. So Antiope there. And I thought to myself, again, we see something that's very interesting, because Ares had set mankind against themselves. Then the Amazons were created. But here was Ares in a battle with mankind, with the Amazons, with Zeus to fight off this threat. And I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if any of you filled in the gaps there and noticed that that's what was going on. And why I say that's interesting is because when we look at the monster that Ares became, a weakened monster, but nonetheless a monster, a devil, a monster. It's amazing. And he was a god, right? He was a god, he was a monster, he was a devil, and he was masking as a man, but he wasn't a man. It's interesting how we can see a monster, someone who mainly feeds off of conflict and war and violence, how they could work in unity with other people. So the question is, because Ares hadn't killed out all the gods yet, the question really remains, why did Ares kill out the gods? He was making a case that they didn't see what he was seeing. And we notice that most of these monsters, most of these people, always feel like people are not seeing the virtue in what they're thinking of. Take, for instance, Steppenwolf. He was trying to show that absolute power is truth. And he wanted Steppenwolf to understand, he wanted Cyborg to understand that he was an agent of chaos. He was born of chaos. And that when Cyborg actually delves into the mother boxes and feels their power and feels what they're all about, he would realize that. And we got hints of Cyborg wondering what on earth is going on, you know? So we see that monsters, maybe we can even trace back to the monster's origin and see that monsters are people who actually have an extreme point of view, or a person, extreme point of view, and they're given solely and wholly to that. And I hope that other people would understand and appreciate what they're doing, even if they have to kill them, you know? Because I'm thinking Ares was a monster, but he was working alongside Zeus and Athena and the nations of men, the same nations of men he envied, along with the Amazons, who he would later fight against, and he would kill out the gods to make sure the Amazons would be subject of his wrath and removed. So it's just interesting that the god of war, obviously he loves war, feeds off of conflict. And in this particular situation, with this threat to the world, he thrives in that environment, apparently. All right. Betty White says, make a YouTube account, please, 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 please. YouNow account. YouNow. I don't know much about YouNow, Betty White. David Ethan says, all right, feeling good after watching Justice League yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching Justice League. And the same certain jokes just hit every single time. They don't get old. I don't know why. I guess it's the situation governing it. But I'm always looking for something extra virtue in these movies, and I got a fair share of it. I got a fair share of it. Betty White, do you watch Ratalele, the YouTuber, at all? No, no, I don't. I don't know who that is. Joan Lewis says, still good at Dave. Betty, still good at Dave. Yep. Justice League is still fun, man. Justice League is still a fun film. I'm a little bit sleepy, but yeah, it's a fun film. In terms of not fun like Thor Ragnarok fun. I ain't Thor Ragnarok fun, but it's a film. It's a serious film. It's a very serious film. The more I watch it, the more I see how serious it is. Oh, did you guys pick up that the bulk of this film is just about the Justice League members? It's really Ares is not Ares. Steppenwolf is, he has a certain portion of the film, but he's not the bulk of the film when it comes to fighting and getting the mother boxes. But the story is really about the development of the league and the building of hope in them to see their potential. So I think that's what's mainly the focus of this film. Is again, it's not about fighting the big baddie. It's more about the development and the growing of light amongst people. I think that's the more important thing, and even relationships between them. So that's what I think. Steppenwolf is like Ares in ways. They thrive in conflict and show that power is absolute. Right. Even though I think Ares, he was more doing it out of jealousy. He wanted to wipe out mankind because he was jealous that they were created by Zeus. I guess competed with his affection for Zeus or something. Whereas Steppenwolf, he just came to conquer the earth. He failed the first time. And like King Ahab, he just had a chip on his shoulder. And, he just wanted to make sure. And besides that, the earth had taken the mother boxes or the change engines that he had brought to the world. So he had been stripped of those change engines. He couldn't go face back Darkseid, so he had to stay in exile amongst the stars. And when the mother boxes signaled to him that Superman was dead, he decided to flow down on the scene and try and take the mother boxes. All right. Betty White, do you watch Outwin Life on YouTube at all? No. Or Twin Life on YouTube at all? No, I don't. Betty White, yeah, Dave, what do you want? Oh, no, he didn't want nothing. He just was just. Joan Lewis says, yeah, Steppenwolf couldn't go back to Darkseid with that loss. It would have killed him instantaneously. Absolutely. Absolutely. So he was kind of exiled. He wasn't on Earth, but he was somewhere out in the stars. And even now, as they boom tubed him away, I don't know where he's gone. And I think it's Cyborg who actually boom tubed him out of there, out of the Earth. But we don't know where Steppenwolf has gone. He's lost his helmet. Parademons are eating at his flesh, but I still don't know. We don't know where he's gone or what's happened to him. And I suspect he survives. But I like those open-ended things. I like how Aquaman heads back to his home. It's open-ended. I like how Barry Allen, he gets a job that kind of transitions into the usual Barry Allen storyline. I like that Batman and Alfred, they work together. Batman's hopeful, but we've seen him responding to Commissioner Gordon. But we still don't know really how the world feels about Batman, how the world feels about Superman. Cyborg seems to still be underground in Star Labs. The Flash, he got a job in forensics, but he's still underground as well. Nobody knows who the Flash is, per se. Nobody knows who Cyborg really is. And another interesting thing I thought was interesting was how they said, when Victor Stone was talking to Cyborg, should I say, was talking to Diana, she said, "Are you Victor Stone?" And he said, "I was Victor Stone." That's very interesting, because when his father said, "I needed to save my son," he said, "Well, you didn't. You didn't save your son. He's gone." That's crazy. That line was really crazy as well. Betty White says, "Do you watch my videos on YouTube?" At all, I have 33 videos. I haven't seen your videos yet, Betty White. You told me about your channel, but I have to type in Betty White maybe to see if I can find. Yeah, I'm still sleepy. To find your channel, so it is what it is. John Lewis, why is your message deleted for? John Lewis, I think the mother boxes on Apocalypse took him back, and he now has to confront Darkseid. However, Darkseid knows all what happened. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know where they boomed him out from. So that's all interesting. You know, I love the shot with the parademons, and he's going through the boom tube, and it's almost like that. Again, that's an Easter egg right there. That's like a shout out to Justice League War. That's like a shout out to the comics, man. Just the way how that shot was taken was beautiful. So, monsters, man. A monster doesn't have to be bad, but a monster can be. We see that monsters can be men. They definitely can be devilish. They can be even gods. So I thought that they covered a number of aspects in various films in this trilogy, and in the fourth film, which would be Wonder Woman. I thought they covered a lot. So, anything else you guys want to talk about with concerning Justice League? Feel free to talk. You know, I'm just talking to kind of keep time going, not to make the conversation boring. Because if I would have paused, then I'd wait 5 seconds. You would see me pause for a pretty long time, and then you'd see me move around again. I wanted to say I love the sound of the boom tubes, yeah, and how those mother boxes worked. You know, they were vibrating, then it'll speed up, then the mother box would just crack open, and then the boom tube would just open. Yeah, man, Zack Snyder brought a lot of things to life that, man, we dreamed of seeing. Even the way how Batman moved, the way how the Flash moved, the way how Wonder Woman moves, the way how Aquaman moves in this movie. Seeing Aquaman swimming in the sea, in the ocean depths, the beautiful world under the sea. I mean, come on now. Come on now. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love what you're seeing. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I wanted to say I love the sound of the boom tubes. It sounds how it's supposed to happen. A loud boom and an echo effect. Zack Snyder. Zack's a genius. He is a genius, man. This guy brought to life things. I mean, the action was so spectacular. The action was so lit that, I mean, I made some noise for Superman. I had people saying, bah, bah, all up in the cinema when Superman came in to Steppenwolf and just punched him away and started beating him up like a rag doll and just got out of there. And I thought it was good that Batman brought the team together, like Zack said, because it's a challenge for Batman to work with other people, and it's a challenge to face this very, very high-powered, very powerful, very big villain with a huge army at his disposal. I thought this was, you know, people keep on saying that Steppenwolf was a weak villain. I just don't get it. No, I disagree. I think he was a decent villain for this film. I still maintain that. Betty White, you are so cute and so nice today. Who's so cute and nice today? All right, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I'd share all of that with you guys right now. I got a boogie again. I may have to take a rest first before I boogie though. And I see there are more people watching this video. 6 people at the present point in time. 6 is good. 6 is a good number. That's the 6 members of the Justice League we had. And let's press on, guys. Keep on spreading the good word. Try and spread it on Twitter. Spread it on social media. Spread it on your platforms. Invite people to go see this movie in the cinemas. Just keep on pressing with the positive word. I got more videos to put out. I particularly want to go into the songs. I thought that the songs, you know, you had Everybody Knows, you had Heroes, you had Come Together, right? We had Icky Thump. All those songs are really cool, and they're very socially conscious. Something that somebody talked about, Steppenwolf isn't the worse than Loki or the villains of Iron Man and Thor. Yeah, but, you know, this is the DCEU. We don't really compare with Marvel films. Marvel has a totally different kind of slant going. They more depend on their humor to carry their films for the most part. The DCEU looks to really bring some concrete things, and the DCU does not deny our world. Like the DCU acknowledges the problems in our world, and that's what I like about this movie. In spite of the problems, you know, you can have hope. And this film's got a lot of problems right now coming out the gate, but we can have a lot of hope, and then we can work on that. So I think that's the difference with the DCEU. I think it has a lot more value to it, in my opinion. That's why I watch it, and I'm still a fan of it. And I can't wait for this movie when I can get a digital copy of this movie, because I'm still using pirated copies of the thing, little snippets of it to show you visually. Because, you know, when you show somebody something visually, it's totally different to showing them something which is you're just talking. You know, it can be kind of boring, it can be kind of plain. Joan Lewis. First of all, Robin R. says Steppenwolf isn't worse than Loki nor the villains of Iron Man and Thor. Absolutely correct, Robin R. Absolutely. Welcome, Robin R., by the way, to our little discussion here, spoiler discussion. Anybody wants to join me in the hangout, just let me know in the chat section, and I will simply supply the link to you. Joan Lewis says Steppenwolf was not a weak villain. He was strong and direct, a threat, enough for the League to have a problem until Superman shows up. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And you know what's nice about it too? He's clever with it. Steppenwolf doesn't just engage them. You know, if he realizes he can get the mother box and get out of there, he's going to do that. He's not going to try and go toe to toe. He's not going to try and be distracted. I was trying to understand certain things in the movie, why certain things were the way they were. For instance, the parademons attacking the family and the home. And by the way, that place, I still have to look up the name of the place because I still want to know more about that place, which was vacated, and they started relocating these people there. And also, and excuse me, sometimes I feel like sleeping. I feel like yawning. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was you said that the Justice League was having a problem with Steppenwolf until Superman shows up. Now, just imagine, some people were saying, "Oh, this movie it was too short," or like Superman should have come up earlier in this movie. If Superman showed up earlier in this movie, then this movie would have ended even faster, right? Unless, of course, Superman starts off, you know, confused and he turns evil, right? We know Lois Lane helped him to focus in and help him be a good Superman. So that's what happened there. But at the end of the day, what I appreciated about this movie was Superman helping people in the middle of the team trying to take down Steppenwolf. You know, and at the point in time where Steppenwolf has the upper hand on the entire team, he's dismantled Cyborg. He's, you know, Batman's not in a position to do anything because Batman doesn't have that kind of power and strength. Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Wonder Woman just went and saved Aquaman. She's a level below. Steppenwolf's there with the mother boxes fusing together, and it's wreaking havoc. It's terraforming the earth. At that point, Steppenwolf says, "You guys are not powerful enough to deal with me. You can't handle me." You know, and you don't know what truth is. Truth is true power, and the boxes, you know, they hold full power, and that comes from the comics. And I thought that Superman showing up at that particular time, saying, "I know truth, like how you define it, which is true power. I know what full power is, but I'm also fear, justice." That's the justice part. I'm a good fan of justice, and I thought that translates into a turning of the tide for the Justice League. Even though Superman wasn't there, he went away. He just came to ignite a spark of hope in Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Batman, and then he took off again. You know, I thought that was also intriguing, because if Superman stuck around, he would just beat the crap out of Steppenwolf. That would have been it, right? And it was nice to see the team working together and trying to take down Steppenwolf on their own. And Batman, he's handling what he can handle, which is a parademon or two. The parademon is giving a lot to handle. The Flash, once he's running, he's okay. Once he trips, or imagine this guy was running along the sides. Think about this now. He was running along the sides of the nuclear plant and knocking down parademons. That was so crazy. But in so doing, he was falling, and he would have fallen to his death had Batman not caught him, you know. So I really enjoy, I tell you, man, I really enjoyed this movie for so many different reasons. Superman was just that engine to bring. Oh, by the way, the end of Justice League when they're standing on the ledge, you know, I put out a video on that where we see Zack Snyder, we see Charles Roven, and we see Jeff Johns. And that shot where they were all on top of that that wall, and it possibly could have been the shot where the background was orange, and Joss Whedon probably changed it up a little bit, or maybe it is what you see there, and you know that's the shot, and it was just enhanced a bit by Whedon that day. But at the end of the day, we know in principal photography that end scene was part of the movie, and so I'm hoping though that I could see that in, if they're going to have a Zack Snyder cut of this movie, we would see for a fact how much of that movie was actually untouched. Pretty much, it was just shortened, and I feel there's a lot of the movie that's been shortened, and it wasn't really a lot of moments where Joss Whedon actually put in his stuff. He probably put his flavor in terms of the acting, but not necessarily in terms of the script, as we were assuming. But I would love to see a Zack Snyder cut of this movie. Do you guys notice the glow colors of each 3 mother boxes? Yes, they each have colors of Superman: red, blue, and yellow. That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. So it was kind of fitting that Superman started to separate the boxes as Cyborg was giving him the window. And I like that Superman helped Cyborg, you know, separate the boxes. I also thought it was nice. All right, so yeah, this is a very short video. Anything else you guys want to talk about concerning Justice League? We talked box office. We talked some of the scenes that you liked. We talked about monsters. I just spent a little time on monsters, not so much on gods, but on monsters. I thought that was interesting because mostly when you look at the DCEU movies, they've been talking about gods and men and even devils, but we've never really cognitively held on to the fact that monsters is another topic that we should be talking about. All right. Did anybody catch on to the reference to the World Engine by Louis Lane, and also that Superman is considered the engine of the world? Did anybody catch on to that? Dave Ethan, do you guys notice that? Right. Betty White, which Netflix movie or TV show do you like as a kid? And now Robin, Dave, and you. Well, I don't really watch Netflix much, so I can't really tell you much about that. TV shows? I like Batman the Animated Series. If you're talking about comic book TV shows, that is. Batman the Animated Series was always good, especially the earliest ones. I liked He-Man and She-Ra. I was way back in the day. Thundercats. Love to see a movie with Thundercats. I'm just talking comic book movies right now. Watched the Justice League, of course, the Superman animated series. Watched at the other stuff is not comic book movies, so like I think it's Love and Marriage with Tim Bundy, Home Improvement, Doctor Who, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a time. Spider-Man was good as a TV show once upon a time. The animated series was pretty good as well. You know, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. Yes, Joe and Lewis. It showed that Superman showed up and said, "How can I help?" Which is pretty much the typical Superman line. He wasn't coming in to take down everything, and he wasn't trying to be the boss. Yes, it was a great thing. Yeah, he showed his humility as well. He just wanted to fit into the equation. However, he had to leave to save some lives, and then he returned. Anyway, hi Robin, Dave, how are you doing today? There you go. Yes, guys, I gotta go right now because I think I need to just rest for a minute, and then I may see this movie this afternoon, or as well as I may not. It depends on what I do today. But I just wanted to talk with you guys. Do check out my videos. You can always share them. My most recent video today was, yes, the Easter eggs. So you guys can go check out the Easter eggs for Justice League. At least I'm going in order. So as the movie moves along, I'll give you Easter eggs that other people missed talking about. Anyway, I gotta go. You guys have a great one. Thanks again for coming through with this live chat. Have a blessed day, guys. I may have a second one today, so watch out for that. You guys have a great one.